Hey everyone, and welcome to our deep dive on sustainable living.
I'm excited to be here.
Me too. I feel like everyone's talking about sustainability these days, but it can be a bit overwhelming to know where to even start.
Absolutely.
So to help us out, we've got a ton of info from, well, the ultimate source, Wikipedia.
Sounds good.
But this isn't just going to be a boring definitions thing.
No, no.
We're going way beyond that.
Definitely.
Like, how are people actually living sustainably from their homes to, like, what they eat?
It's about real world stuff.
Exactly. And get this, did you know that the average American meal travels like 1,500 miles to get to your plate?
Wow, 1,500. That's crazy.
No, right? And speaking of things that'll make you go, apparently swapping out your toilet could save you a whopping 70% on water.
70%. That's huge.
Huge. We're going to uncover just how much of an impact our choices have and some surprisingly easy things we can do to, make a difference.
I think what's fascinating is that sustainable living, it's not some new fad or anything.
Oh, okay, right.
It has a long history with roots in movements like Back to the Land and Simple Living.
Ooh, history. Tell me more.
Well, according to Wikipedia, a key moment was the publication of Living the Good Life back in 1954
Okay.
by Helen and Scott Nearing.
Got it.
They were these pioneers who advocated for self-sufficiency and a simpler lifestyle. And their book, it actually sparked a back to the land movement in the 60s and 70s,
Okay.
where people, they wanted to disconnect from mainstream society and live more sustainably.
It's kind of amazing how these ideas from way back then are still so relevant today.
Yeah, for sure.
Like the Nearings were all about growing your own food, which is, totally having a moment now with all this urban gardening stuff.
Exactly. And speaking of influential books, we can't forget Rachel Carson's Silent Spring.
Oh, yeah, Silent Spring.
Which, exposed the dangers of pesticides back in the 60s.
Right.
It was like a wake-up call about the interconnectedness of everything.
Right. Okay. History lesson over. Let's get back to present day. And honestly, to my biggest dilemma,
Okay.
let's say I'm building my dream home.
Right.
I want it comfy, of course,
Of course.
but also eco-friendly as heck.
Sure.
Where do I even start?
Well, it's kind of amazing how much our homes impact the environment.
Yeah.
Did you know that housing accounts for something like 25% of greenhouse gas emissions?
Whoa, 25%. Okay, so sustainable building is really important.
Yeah.
What are my options though for eco-friendly materials?
There are so many cool choices out there.
Like what?
Well, Wikipedia mentions bamboo,
Yep.
which is, super strong and grows incredibly fast.
Right. Okay.
Then there's hemp, which makes really durable building materials with amazing insulation. And of course, we can't forget about recycled materials like
Yeah.
reclaimed wood
Yeah.
or even recycled plastic.
I love the idea of giving materials a second life. So what about powering my eco-home then? Solar panels and wind turbines are the first things that come to mind.
Yeah.
But are those realistic for everyone?
Well, solar's definitely becoming more and more affordable all the time.
That's good.
And the technology just keeps getting better.
Right.
Wind turbines, though, might be more practical for rural folks who have lots of wind.
Makes sense.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
What if you're stuck in the city though? Are you just doomed on the whole renewable energy front?
Not at all. Cities actually have options like community solar projects
Oh.
or even rooftop gardens,
Oh, right.
which help
Yeah.
insulate buildings and reduce energy consumption.
Ooh.
It's all about finding, creative solutions for whatever your situation is.
I like that.
Yeah.
Speaking of saving energy, I'm also all about saving water.
Yes.
Any simple things I can do there?
Oh, tons.
Yeah.
Swapping to low-flow shower heads and toilets is a great place to start. Those low-flow toilets can save, a whopping 70% of water compared to older models.
70%. I'm picturing all the water I've wasted over the years.
Right. It's crazy.
Okay, low-flow toilet is officially on my shopping list.
Good.
Any other water-saving tricks I should know?
Well, have you ever thought about, gray water systems? They capture the water from your shower and sinks.
Okay,
And then you can reuse it for things like watering plants.
interesting.
Rainwater harvesting is another cool option.
Okay,
Basically, you're collecting rainwater from rooftops and storing it.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so my eco-home is, shaping up nicely in my mind.
Good.
But sustainable living, it goes beyond just our houses, right?
Yeah.
What we eat has a huge impact, too.
You're so right.
All right, real talk. I love a good burger.
Who doesn't?
I've heard, though, that meat production is pretty rough on the planet.
Yeah.
How bad is it, really?
Well, Wikipedia says that industrial agriculture, which includes meat production, contributes to a whole bunch of environmental issues.
Like what?
Pollution, resource depletion, habitat loss,
Hmm.
not to mention all the carbon emissions from, transporting food all over the place.
Okay, I'm ready to ditch the whole industrial food system.
Good for you.
But, what are some tasty alternatives? I still want to enjoy my food.
Oh, for sure. Eating locally and seasonally is a great way to start.
Okay.
Less travel time for your food, you support local farmers,
Right.
and the produce is usually fresher and more flavorful.
Farmers markets and CSAs, here I come.
Awesome.
I've also heard about this whole, reduced meat consumption thing.
Yeah.
Is that, really necessary, or is it just hype?
Well, even cutting back on meat a couple times a week can make a big difference
Really?
in reducing the demand for industrial meat.
We'll try those meatless Mondays everyone's talking about.
That's a great idea.
What about when I do eat meat, though? Is there a way to do that more sustainably?
Definitely. Look for, organic,
Oh.
free-range, or grass-fed options. They tend to be more sustainable and ethical than conventional meat production.
Got less meat, more local produce. Any other sustainable food practices I should be thinking about?
Ooh, organic farming is a big one,
Right.
according to the USDA.
Uh-huh.
It promotes biodiversity, healthy soil, ecological balance,
So,
all without those synthetic pesticides and fertilizers.
which are bad
They
because...
pollute our water and harm wildlife.
So organic is better for the environment and potentially healthier for us? I
Exactly.
like it.
And don't underestimate the power of growing your own food.
Mm-hmm.
Even just a few herbs on your windowsill
Okay.
or a small veggie garden can make a difference.
I could try that.
Yeah. Urban gardening is a fantastic way to connect with your food
Right.
and reduce your impact.
I'm sensing a theme here.
What's that?
Sustainable living, it's all about, connecting the dots between our choices and their impact on the world.
You got it.
And speaking of connections, how do you usually get around? Transportation plays a big role in all this, right?
Absolutely.
I'll admit, I rely on my car more than I'd like to.
I think a lot of us do.
I try to be mindful, though, carpooling when I can, walking for, short errands,
That's great.
that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But let's be real, those gas guzzlers are pumping out a ton of greenhouse gases.
They are.
So we really need to, shift toward more sustainable transportation
Yeah,
options.
for sure.
So what are my options? Public transportation is great.
It is.
But what about those of us who live in areas where it's not so great?
Right.
What then?
Well, there's always cycling.
It's a shake.
It's efficient, good for your health,
Yeah,
and totally emissions-free.
true. What about electric bikes?
Oh, yeah, those are great. Electric bikes are opening up even longer distances, too.
I've actually been thinking about getting one.
You should.
Maybe I will.
What about electric cars, though? Are they, a viable solution?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Electric cars definitely have the potential to reduce emissions, especially when powered by renewable energy.
Oh, yeah.
But we also have to consider, the environmental cost of battery production
Right.
and all the infrastructure needed to, support them.
So it's not as simple as just swapping our gas guzzlers for electric cars.
No.
There's a bigger picture to consider.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Sustainable transportation, it requires a multifaceted approach,
We mean.
like investing in public transit,
Okay,
making cities more bike-friendly,
got it.
the whole shebang.
Okay, so we've talked about sustainable homes,
Yeah.
food, and transportation.
Right.
What else needs to be on my, sustainable living checklist? Am I missing anything?
Well, of course, there's water.
Water, right.
It's essential for life, yet we often just take it for granted.
That's true.
Unsustainable water use is a huge problem,
Yeah.
leading to water scarcity and damaged ecosystems.
Okay, I'm ready to learn about water conservation.
Awesome.
What can I do to be more mindful?
Well, you already mentioned low-flow shower heads and toilets. Which are great.
Oh, okay.
But even simple things like turning off the tap while you're brushing your teeth
Yeah.
or doing dishes can save a lot of water.
Little changes, big impact?
Exactly.
Definitely.
Any tips for outdoor water use?
Yeah. What about those of us with, lawns and gardens?
Xeriscaping is a fantastic approach.
Xeriscaping.
It's all about landscaping with drought-tolerant plants that need minimal water.
That's a new one for me.
If you do need to water, though,
Yeah.
drip irrigation systems deliver the water straight to the roots, cutting down on evaporation.
Okay, xeriscaping, I'll have to research that.
Definitely.
There's one more thing I wanted to touch on.
What's that?
Waste.
Yes.
It feels like we produce so much of it.
We do.
And it has to go somewhere, right?
It does. Americans produce a crazy amount of waste every year, and it ends up in landfills, polluting the environment.
So what can we do about it?
The 3 R's: reduce, reuse, recycle. They're our best weapons in this fight.
Okay, let's break those down.
Okay.
What are some easy ways to, like, reduce the amount of stuff I buy in the first place?
Well, think about buying in bulk,
Okay.
to cut down on packaging,
Right.
reusable containers and bags,
Got it.
saying no to junk mail.
Oh, junk mail. I'm so guilty of that.
It's easy to forget about.
Time to get on those opt-out lists.
For sure. What about reusing things, though?
Yeah, what about that?
Before you just toss something out, think about whether it can be reused or, repurposed.
Oh,
Get creative. Like, old jars become storage containers.
right.
Unwanted clothes get donated.
Yeah.
Furniture finds a new life.
I'm all about those DIY projects.
Me too.
And finally, recycling.
Yes.
We all know the basics, but are there, like, any pro tips I should know?
Well, make sure you're up to date on your local recycling rules.
Okay.
Because they can vary.
Sure.
And try to buy recycled products whenever you can.
Yeah.
That helps close the loop and support the demand for those materials.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So we've covered a lot here, from green homes to reducing waste.
We have.
But sustainable living, it feels like more than just a to-do list, It's like a way of thinking.
It is. It's realizing that all of our choices have these ripple effects on the environment, society, and the economy.
We've talked about the environment and the economy.
Yeah.
But what about the social side of sustainability? How does that fit in?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
It's about fairness,
Okay.
equity,
Right.
and making sure that everyone has access to a good quality of life, both now and in the future.
So it's not just about, like, saving the planet.
No.
It's about building a world that's fair and just for everyone.
Exactly. I think, fair labor practices,
Okay.
supporting local communities,
Yeah.
and ensuring that everyone benefits from sustainable living, not just a privileged few.
Wow, I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together.
Me too.
Sustainable living is way bigger than just, like, individual actions.
It is.
It's about creating a better world for everyone.
That's the key takeaway.
Yeah.
It's about making choices that consider our own well-being,
Right.
our communities, and the planet we all share.
This deep dive has been amazing so far.
It has.
We've covered so much.
We have.
But there's still more to explore, right?
Absolutely. Sustainable living, it's a journey, not a destination.
I like that.
Up next, we're going to get into some real-world examples of how people are, putting these principles into action.
Okay.
And I can't wait to share them with you.
Neither.
Welcome back to our deep dive into sustainable living.
Okay, I'm still processing all that info from the last part. Like, my to-do list is getting seriously long.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. But I'm ready for more. You mentioned some, like, real-world examples of people actually putting these practices into action.
Oh, yeah, tons.
Tell me everything.
Well, okay, imagine a house built out of, recycled tires and bottles,
Okay.
powered by the sun and wind,
All right.
and even, growing its own food.
Wait, what? Is that even possible? That sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
It's not sci-fi, it's Earthships.
Earthships.
Yeah, they're these super innovative, sustainable homes.
Hmm.
They use materials like, recycled tires and bottles.
Right.
And they're designed to be, completely self-sufficient.
Self-sufficient how?
With solar and wind energy,
Okay.
rainwater harvesting,
Got it.
and even, internal food production systems.
Well, hold on. So you're telling me these Earthships are like mini ecosystems
Pretty much.
powered by renewable energy and growing their own food. I know, it's pretty amazing.
It sounds incredible, but also maybe a little bit out there.
They are pretty amazing. They're a great example of, like, the triple bottom line in action.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Addressing environmental, social, and economic sustainability all in one. They might not be for everyone, of course.
Yeah, I can see that.
But they definitely push the boundaries of what's possible with, sustainable design.
Okay, I have to admit, I'm kind of intrigued now. Right.
I'm picturing myself, sipping coffee on the porch of my Earthship,
Yeah.
surrounded by lush gardens, totally off the grid.
It's a pretty cool vision.
It is. But, okay, let's zoom out from individual homes for a second.
Okay.
And look at communities that are, really leading the way in sustainable living.
All right.
Have you ever heard of eco-villages?
Oh, yeah, eco-villages.
They're those, intentional communities designed around sustainability, right?
Exactly.
I've always been fascinated by that whole concept.
They're more than just like people living together, though. They're intentionally designed based on ecological principles.
Okay.
Like they often use permaculture.
Permaculture.
It's basically designing agricultural systems that like mimic natural ecosystems.
So it's like working with nature,
Yeah.
not against it.
Exactly.
Right.
And eco-villages, they take that idea and apply it to like their whole community design.
Okay.
They strive to create these closed-loop systems where waste is minimized and resources are like used super efficiently.
It sounds like a blueprint for a more like harmonious way of living.
It kind of is.
In balance with nature and each other.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is they're popping up all over the world. Right.
They are.
Each with its own like unique approach and focus.
Exactly. Some are all about like rural self-sufficiency,
Okay.
while others are figuring out how to bring those principles into urban environments.
It's like a global movement towards a more sustainable future.
It is.
One community at a time.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got earthships for the individualists
Yeah.
and eco-villages for like the community-minded folks.
Right.
But what about those of us who aren't quite ready to like build our own off-grid homes or join an intentional community? What can we do in our like everyday lives?
There's so much you can do.
Like what?
There are tons of examples of people making waves in their own neighborhoods.
Okay.
Like, have you noticed the rise of urban farming?
Oh yeah, urban farming.
It's pretty cool.
It is. I love seeing those like vacant lots and rooftops transformed into green spaces,
Yeah.
growing fresh food right in the heart of the city.
It's pretty amazing.
It is.
And they don't just like produce local food.
Right?
They often have like educational programs, composting initiatives, even social enterprises.
They're really demonstrating how interconnected sustainability can be.
Yeah, they are.
It's like this ripple effect spreading positive change throughout the community.
And speaking of ripples,
Yeah.
what about sustainable fashion?
Oh, fashion.
Yeah, did you know that the fashion industry is a huge polluter?
I've heard that.
It uses tons of water and energy
Right.
and generates a crazy amount of waste.
Fast fashion. I've definitely become more aware of the impact of like my clothing choices.
Yeah, me too.
But honestly, finding sustainable fashion options that are like actually stylish,
yeah,
that can be tough.
it can be, but there's definitely like a learning curve.
Okay.
But it's getting easier all the time.
That's good.
There's this growing movement toward what's called slow fashion.
Slow fashion.
It's about like ethical production,
Okay.
natural materials, and timeless designs that, you know, last way longer than just a single season.
So it's about quality over quantity,
Yeah,
investing in pieces you love and will actually wear for years.
exactly.
But isn't that usually like way more expensive?
Not necessarily. There are so many incredible sustainable brands out there these days.
Really?
Using like innovative materials, recycled plastic bottles, organic cotton.
Cool.
They're also often focused on fair labor practices
Okay.
and supporting like local artisans.
Oh, I can like look good and do good.
Exactly. It's a win-win.
I like that. I also have to admit, I've been getting more into like secondhand shopping lately.
Oh, secondhand shopping is fantastic.
It is.
It gives clothes a second life,
Right.
keeps them out of landfills.
Yeah.
Plus, you can often find like unique pieces you wouldn't find anywhere else.
It's true. Okay, I'm sold on sustainable fashion. Good. It's officially cool now.
I think so.
But after hearing about all these like inspiring examples,
Yeah.
I'm realizing there's one big question we haven't really addressed.
What's that?
Population growth. With more and more people consuming resources, how can we even talk about sustainability without tackling that?
It's a big one for sure.
It is.
It's a complex and sensitive issue.
Yeah.
But it's definitely something we need to consider.
Okay.
It's true that more people put a strain on resources.
Right.
We need to approach it in a way that like respects individual rights and choices.
So how do we even begin to address that?
Well, empowering women through education
Okay.
and access to family planning resources is huge.
Hmm.
When women have control over their reproductive choices,
Right.
they tend to have fewer children,
Okay.
and those children are often healthier and better educated.
So it's like a ripple effect that benefits everyone.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
And it's not just about limiting population growth either.
Okay.
It's about making sure that everyone has access to a good quality of life
Right.
within the limits of, our planet's resources.
That's a perfect point to like transition to our final segment.
Yeah.
Where we can kind of dive into the big picture of sustainable living and what it all means for the future.
Yeah, I'm excited to explore that with you.
Me too.
We'll be discussing how these individual choices and community efforts can all come together to create a world where both people and the planet can thrive.
Okay, so we've talked about everything from the basics to those really mind-blowing examples and feeling, I don't know, inspired.
Good.
But also a little overwhelmed, to be honest.
It's a lot.
It is. So how do we take all this information and actually create a more sustainable future?
That's the big question, isn't it?
It is. What's it going to take to really move the needle?
Well, we need to think bigger than just our individual choices. We need policies that actually encourage sustainable practices, support renewable energy development,
Got it.
and promote what's called a circular economy.
Circular economy. What's that?
So basically, it's a system where waste is minimized.
Okay.
And resources are constantly reused and recycled.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a closed loop.
Right.
Instead of that whole take, make, dispose model that, we're so used to.
Yeah, that makes sense. So basically, we need a world where sustainable choices are the easy choices.
Exactly.
Affordable.
Yeah.
Accessible for everyone.
For everyone.
But how do we get there? It feels like it would take a massive effort.
It does, but it's not impossible.
Okay, good.
And the good news is things are already starting to change.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's this growing awareness of the climate crisis.
Right.
And with that comes a surge in innovation and creativity.
Oh.
We're seeing incredible solutions popping up everywhere.
Look, give me some hope.
Okay, think about those plant-based burgers
Yeah.
that are pretty much indistinguishable from beef,
I've heard about those.
or renewable energy technologies that are becoming more efficient and more affordable every day.
Okay.
We're on the verge of some major breakthroughs.
That's good to be here.
It is. But you mentioned earlier that it's also about a shift in values.
I did.
You did. What did you mean by that?
Oh, right. Well, I was thinking that we need to move away from this obsession with endless growth
Yes.
and consumption.
It's just not sustainable
It's not.
in the long run.
Right. We need to embrace a more balanced approach,
Yeah.
one that recognizes that our well-being is directly tied to the health of the planet.
It is. It's all connected.
It's like that saying, there is no planet B.
Exactly. And that brings us back to the triple bottom line.
Right.
Finding solutions that benefit people, the planet, and the economy.
It's all connected.
It is. It's not just about the environment.
Okay.
It's about creating a system that works for everyone.
So we're talking about a world where, everyone can thrive without compromising the needs of future generations.
That's the goal.
That's a future I can get behind.
Me too.
This deep dive has been a whirlwind
Yeah.
of information and inspiration. I
Right.
feel like I've learned so much.
Good.
But it's clear that this is just the tip of the iceberg.
It is. Sustainable living is an ongoing journey,
Yeah, that's
There's
right.
always more to learn.
Right.
New ways to make a difference.
So where should our listeners start?
The best advice I can give is pick one thing that resonates with you.
Okay.
Something that feels manageable
Right.
and meaningful.
Right.
Maybe it's swapping out those single-use plastic water bottles for a reusable one.
Okay.
Maybe it's trying a meatless Monday recipe.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's supporting your local farmer's market.
Yeah.
Or biking to work once a week.
I love that.
Yeah.
Start small, but start somewhere.
Exactly.
It feels empowering.
It is. Every choice we make, no matter how small,
Yeah.
sends a message about the kind of world we want to live in. And those choices, when we make them together, they have the power to create real change.
I believe that.
Me too.
This has been such an amazing conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your insights and wisdom with us.
It's been my pleasure.
I'm so glad we could dive into this topic together.
Me too.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into sustainable living.
Thanks, everyone.
Remember, it's a journey, not a destination. Keep learning, keep exploring, and keep making a difference.